Paranormal Activity feels like a horror film for people who don't like horror films because it's very, very boring and not scary. It gets loud at one point, but not necessarily scary. And I feel like it's just a huge disappointment. This was released in 2007. It's directed and written by Oren Peli, and we have a cast including Katie Featherston and Micah Sloat. And I'd seen this before, and I remembered not liking it, but it was a long time ago. And I think I only ever watched the first one. I don't think I saw the second one. Certainly hadn't seen beyond that. But my tastes change, and maybe I wasn't remembering it properly, so I decided to give it another go. It's not actually streaming in the UK just now anywhere. I couldn't even find it to rent anywhere, so I had to buy the DVD, but it wasn't very expensive, so I didn't mind. And I watched it again, and I'll talk about the narrative in a moment. And it was as bland as I remembered. We have some really creative camera work and some really good performances, but there's basically no horror in this. It's about a couple who move into this house, and in theory, strange things begin to happen, and we see all of this through various cameras around the home, and that part of it does work really well. And I do love when we're looking through the camera at night. I love the look of that. The colours are, well, pretty absent, and it looks atmospheric. It looks quite spooky. But the actual activity is very lacking. And it does feel like a horror film for people who maybe are quite scared of horror. I know horror is not for everybody. And if you're one of those people and you don't really like very scary films, but you want something that might... It seems like there's suspense. It seems like something's going to happen right around the corner. And that in itself can be scary, but it never delivers. So it does feel like a horror film for people who don't really like horror. And it's really disappointing. And as I said, it does get noisy at one point. It gets very loud. And yes, the chaos of the noise again could seem quite scary, but it isn't. Nothing is happening. And I just found it to be very, very dull. For the bulk of the film, nothing happens. And then at one point, it does seem like they are trying to increase the action, or I guess the paranormal activity, but it doesn't deliver, and it is as weak as I remembered it. That being said, I bought the second film as well. It didn't cost me anything, because when I bought this, I also bought 30 Nights of Paranormal Activity and something. It's a parody film, which I have watched and reviewed. It's fun. And it was actually, that one was on buy one, get one free. And Paranormal Activity 2, the DVD, was also on buy one, get one free. So I thought, well, it's not going to cost me anything, so I might as well get it. So I will be watching the second one. After that, who knows? We'll see if I watch any more. But unfortunately, this was how I remembered it. It's very bland, very tame, not scary in the slightest. Maybe if you're very new to horror, or you don't really like scary films, but you do like that kind of darker atmosphere, it might be okay, but I think it's fair to say that this is aimed at horror fans. All of that being said, it has 6.3 out of 10 on IMDb across 265,000 reviews and ratings, which is a good rating. That's a really good average rating. So people seem to like it, but unfortunately, I don't get it. Nothing happens. The characters are not that interesting either. As I said, the performances are quite good, but the characters are very bland. On the one hand, that could work, because I feel like the characters are representing the everybody, the average couple moving into their house. Most people could find themselves in that situation as the couple. So the fact that they're not that interesting maybe makes them more relatable, and could in theory make this a scarier experience. So I don't mind that the characters are not that fascinating, because I can understand, or I could see an argument that makes it more relatable if they're just representing the everyday average person. So I don't mind that too much, but I guess the point there, or the point that I'm trying to make, is that the narrative is weak, the horror is lacking, and the characters aren't interesting either, so that's not enough to otherwise save the film. As I said, really good camera work, really, really quite appealing visually at certain points, so there are some tiny positives, but it's just not good. And I will watch the second one, and I'll go in with an open mind. And I really want to like it, because there are quite a few of them, and I really want to binge watch a horror series. I've just finished the Conjuring films, rewatching the Conjuring films, and finally watching the most recent Conjuring film. So I have a gap, and I want to binge watch a horror series. Hopefully the second film will be good. I'll reserve judgment until I watch it, but for now, unfortunately, I can say that Paranormal Activity was just as bland as I remembered it.